You know, when you've been writing for some time, for quite some time actually, years even, getting just another dark theme becomes boring because how many dark themes are you going to flick through? There's a couple that I can show you here. For example, there's Cappuccin, that's Mocha, I'm pretty sure it's called, the darkest variant. And then you have Everforest, and then you have Grovebox, Kanagawa, and so on and so forth. There's all of these dark themes, but then they're all dark. So they start to become very common and they don't really surprise you anymore, which is why I have created a alternative to the dark, which is the light, which is exactly what you saw in this little preview that I gave you over here. As you can see, it's not the usual that I usually show in my videos, okay? You'd usually see a theme like Rose Pine or Tokyo Night, but for this video, what I've done is I have decided that I'm going to show you what theme I'm using when it comes to light versus dark. So let's just show you that right now. First of all, the browser, right? The browser is using this fantastic e-ink theme that you see over here. Now, this e-ink GTK theme that I had to get in order to make the browser look this way, you cannot exactly find it anywhere, actually. This is a custom-made GTK theme. So what I did was I went into the GTK themes files, okay, that you find inside of GTK-3.0. So I went inside of that and then edited a bunch of colors that would usually be something like pure white or something very close to white. And then I changed it to a very beautiful E4 or rather E6, 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 which is this e-ink color that you see over here. So that's what I've done for the browser. Now, after the browser, we have the terminal. So the terminal over here, as you can see, is also using this splendid e-ink theme. And if I show you a bunch of different applications, this is what they look like. Now, the fetch tool, this is what the fetch looks like. This is niche, which is a tool, fetch tool written in nim. So this is what that looks like. And then after that, if I were to show you htop looks pretty cool here. Okay, this looks amazing. And after htop, we also have a couple of other ones like ASCII Aquarium. I already showed you that earlier. We have C matrix. Okay, this is what the C matrix app looks like. And lastly, we also have pipes, pipes.sh, or it was bash pipes, I'm pretty sure. Bash pipes. Okay, it doesn't seem to be here, but anyway, this is also what errors look like. Okay, the difference between green and red, okay, these two colors are supposed to be green and red, is very subtle to the point where you're not actually able to tell, but it's not really that important because you can tell whether a command failed or not just by looking at the terminal. So that is for the terminal and what I've customized it to look like. This is the Kitty terminal, of course. I've chosen it over alacritty because Kitty's font rendering, in my opinion, just looks so much better than alacritty's. Okay, it depends on what kind of taste you have for font rendering. If you prefer macOS like font rendering, where the fonts aren't exactly laser sharp, if you will, right? The fonts still have a bit of softness and smoothness to them, which just makes them look that much better. And Kitty seems to pull that off just like macOS does, which is why I'm using this terminal instead of something like alacritty. Now, as for the code editor, I'm using vscode here, and this thing, okay, is using a theme, which if I show you currently what it's using, a open theme, or actually it's color theme, it's using a monochrome light theme. There are a couple of different variants of this monochrome theme, like light amplified, which just removes the e-ink aesthetic completely, so that's not fun. Also cool gray, and then subtle, so on and so forth. But the best e-ink one, okay, is going to be monochrome light. So that's what I've picked for VS Code. Then after that, we have Discord. Okay, so this is what Discord looks like. This is using the midnight theme, but of course customized to make it fit into an e-ink theme. Okay, then after Discord, we have Spotify. This is Spotify. This is the normal lyrics. And if I were to show you better lyrics, okay, this is what the better lyrics look like. And if I were to go back again, okay, this is what the album looks like. Any album that's opened in Spotify looks like. That's it. And then after that, if I were to show you GTK apps, this is what you see. The File Roller is a GTK4 app, which allows you to create archives and stuff. So that's what we have here. And then we also have this. This is our file manager, Thunar. So if I were to open another file manager to show you, this is Nautilus. This is what Nautilus looks like. Okay. Now, watch what happens when I change the theme. So all I have to do in order to change the theme is choose Noir here instead of e-ink. So e-ink is the light version that you saw previously, that you're currently seeing, okay? Noir is going to be the dark version. So as soon as I change it to dark, and then I open another tab here, yep, as you can see, it changes completely. And not just that, but then the colors inside of waybar change as well. There's a reason why I chose really desaturated pastel colors instead of complete monochrome colors for the noir theme, and that is to, one, enable visibility, and two, to add some bit of contrast so that you can actually tell what's going on without squinting your eyes too much, right? So if you end up getting tired of the normal light theme, you can switch to this noir theme and still have your desktop look pretty freaking amazing. Terminal, this is what that looks like. The fetch actually has a bit more color and you can distinguish between right and wrong. Haha, pun intended. Right and wrong. There you go. And if I were to show you ASCII Aquarium, this is what you see. Then C matrix again. There you go. H-top. H-top also looks very fun from here. Now, for vscode, this absolutely looks amazing, right? It just looks so clean, right? All you have to do is just take one look at this, and then the first thought that most likely pops into your mind is minimal and clean. At least that's what it does for me. Okay, now after this code editor, next thing we have is Discord, which also supports live theme reloading. As you can see, this is what the live theme reloading looks like. Now for Spotify is just going to take a second to reload, and once you do that, there you go. It looks so clean and so amazing. It's practically, it's honestly just sick. Then, lastly, we have the GTK apps themselves. Now, you might be wondering why Thunar, which is a GTK3 app, has updated, but then FileRoller, which is GTK4, hasn't. It's because of a limitation in the way that GTK4 apps themselves are written. So basically, GNOME, or whoever the devs of GTK4 apps are, they decided that theming is no longer going to be a priority, and instead GPU rendering, GPU accelerated rendering, and a bunch more other stuff is going to be, because of which they removed theming functionality, and they didn't exactly remove it, but then they made it much less workable with, if you will, right? They made it much harder to theme stuff. So now, if you want your changes to show up inside of an app, inside of a GTK4 app, you're going to have to close and reopen it in order to see the effect. Now, if I do the same for Nautilus, this is what Nautilus looks like. Looks very slick and clean. Then, lastly, that's it, okay? But we're still not done because there are more aspects to this compositor than you would think, which is why I have turned it into a desktop environment. Now, if you look at the notification daemon, this is what you see here. Okay, this is the Overwatch panel, as I like to call it. If I were to show you a couple of notifications, this is what they look like here. Then there's also a logout menu, which you can see here. Also a lock screen, which shows you the music and the weather. If I hit enter here, that should unlock. And that's most of, if not all, of whatever I've configured. The rest of it is just a bunch of keybinds, along with a few more other stuff that you saw, like nightlight, and a bunch more other features that I've explained in my other videos. But apart from that, this is the setup that I'm rocking right now, and it looks pretty clean. And also, you might be wondering, I want to make a setup like this too. Like, how exactly can I learn how to do this? Well, in order to help you out with that, I've made a program, which is the first link in the description, right? So in that program, which is called Hyper Accelerator, right here in this program, which is the first link, okay, I teach you exactly how you can make setups like this as well. And not just that, but then I start from the very beginning. So even if you're not a riser, or even if you're a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced person, right? You can take a look at all of these modules and they teach you exactly how you're supposed to do this. So I start with installing Arch, if in case you've tried to install Arch before and you failed, or if you just want to just get an idea as to how I would personally install Arch to get my setup looking like this, fast, clean, snappy, minimal, right? Then I teach you how to install Hyprland specifically for Arch and the mindset that you have to have as well in order to be successful with it. Because I installed Arch the first time, and because I wasn't used to it, because I didn't know what it entailed, I just ended up breaking it over and over, and that's not fun. I don't want you to go through the same thing, so these modules are whatever I've learned so that you can avoid the same mistakes and pitfalls that I went through. Okay, that would be for Genesis. Now, inside of System Reforging, this is the core of the program where I teach you all of the stuff that I covered in this video, like customizing waybar and then getting animations like this for your notification daemon, as well as your app launcher, not to mention a wallpaper switcher as well. So if I wanted to switch wallpapers, okay, I could easily do that with a transition like this that you see here. So if I wanted to switch wallpapers for whatever reason, I could do that here. And not just that, but then when I switch to a different theme, the transition is different. So when I switch wallpapers, it's a different transition. And when I switch themes, it's a different transition. Just to add a bit more contrast so that you can distinguish between what function of the compositor you are currently activating. Fun stuff. Now let's revert the wallpaper to what it was, and let's show you the rest of the program. Now, in environment personalization, we can change the wallpaper, status bar. All of this is beginner stuff. Okay, status sorcery. Now here is where we start getting into the weeds. So I show you how to customize waybar and hyperpanel in detail. Then in colors and fonts, I actually tell you how you can use Matugen, which is going to extract the colors from your wallpaper and use those colors to theme waybar, your notification daemon, so on and so forth. Okay, then after that, in desktop dynamism, we convert Hyprland into a desktop environment with all the different goodies that I'm showing you right now, right? That's what we do here. And then after that, we get to the theme switchers module. So in this 2-hour long module, right, this absolute monstrosity of a module, I show you what theme switchers actually are, the different kinds, the wallpaper-based theme switching with Matugen and whatnot, and the custom theme switching that you see here with a bunch of the other themes, all of which, by the way, they work flawlessly, as you can see here as well. So if I wanted to open Grovebox, I can do that here. Okay, get a really nice cozy theme for the winter. I can also do it for Tokyo Night. Ta-da, that also works. So all of these themes work fantastically, which is part of this setup. Now, after this, there's a couple more stuff that you can go through, right? Safe house systems. This teaches you how to manage and think about dotfiles. And lastly, in finishing touches, we have anti-fragile modularity, which is splitting up your config into different parts. So basically, all in all, I teach you everything that you need to know in order to make setups like this yourself, and not just copy somebody else's dot files and then change a couple of things here and there and pray to God that the dot files never break. No, not that, but then actually making a setup like this yourself so that you can be proud of your own creation and actually troubleshoot stuff when things end up breaking for whatever reason, if they do. Which, by the way, they're not likely to happen because I deal with that as well, and teach you how you can prevent such things from happening in this Applying Mental Models video. So here I cover all of the stuff that you're supposed to keep in mind, the mental tools to keep in your toolbox to prevent such problems from occurring in the first place, and how you can easily get rid of them no matter which one shows up. So if you want to learn how to make a setup like this, go ahead, click the first link in the description and check out HyperAccelerator. And that's it. That is all I have for you today. If you liked the video, hit like. If you loved it and want to see more like this in your feed, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay rising. Mwah.